Introduction. When they finally notice, it's already too late. Asterisk, there's something quietly devastating about being the one who loved too much, too sincerely, too deeply. And it's even more devastating when the person you gave that love to only realizes its value once you're gone. But here's a truth no one tells you. When you're left wondering why they didn't choose you, sometimes, it's not because you were not enough. It's because your love was too real for someone who wasn't ready to receive it. If you've ever felt unappreciated, invisible, or taken for granted in a relationship, this message is for you. Let's unpack why this happens, what it reveals about human nature, and most importantly, how you can heal, reclaim your worth, and never shrink your love again just to be tolerated. Part 1. Why genuine love is often taken for granted in a world saturated with instant gratification and shallow connections. Genuine affection stands out. But ironically, it's also why it often goes unrecognized till it's no longer there. Many people are conditioned to chase the thrill, not the truth. They confuse excitement with love, drama with passion, and attention with care. So when someone comes along who offers calm, consistent, unconditional love, it feels too quiet. Feels too client. They can't see its value until the silence it leaves behind is deafening. Real love isn't flashy. You didn't love them to impress. You loved them to heal. You didn't show up loudly, showed up steadily. And because your love wasn't loud, they mistook it for ordinary. But love that's rooted in depth rather than performance doesn't always get recognized, especially by people who haven't done the inner work to recognize healthy patterns. Asterisk Part 2. The psychological blind spot. Why they don't see your worth. Asterisk. There's a deeply human flaw many of us carry. We often don't see the value of something until we're faced with its absence. Psychologists call it the contrast effect. When we're constantly exposed to something good, like emotional support, kindness, patience, we begin to normalize it. We assume it will always be there. The mind tunes it out like background noise. But once it's taken away, the contrast becomes unbearable. Suddenly, your silence is louder than your presence ever was. Suddenly, the things you used to do, checking in, showing care, listening, become painfully missed. But by then, it's too late. They realize not everyone loves like that. Not everyone stays like that. Not everyone gives like that. Without asking for anything in return. Asterisk Part 3. You were loving with your soul. They were just passing time. Asterisk, one of the most painful realizations is this. While you were loving them from your soul, they were only enjoying the moment. While you saw a future, they were just living in the convenience of your presence. But this doesn't make your love wrong. In fact, it makes it rare. People who love deeply often struggle in a world that doesn't value emotional depth. You may have been called too sensitive or too much, when in truth you were offering something sacred, emotional safety, unwavering presence, and real care. Part 4. The cost of being the constant one. Let's be honest, being the dependable one, the giver, the emotionally available partner comes at a cost, especially when the other person is emotionally unavailable. You get drained, you feel unseen. You give, but you're not replenished. You listen, but you're not heard. You stay, but they never really arrive. And over time, you start shrinking. You start questioning your own value. You wonder, maybe I expect too much. No, you were just giving too much to someone not capable of reciprocating. Asterisk. Part 5. Why they miss you when you're gone. Asterisk. Here's where the shift happens. At first, they're relieved. They think silence means peace. They think your absence means freedom. But then, life starts to feel empty because no one else checks in the way you did. No one else listens like you did. No one else sees them the way you did, without judgment, just love. They scroll through their contacts looking for someone who'll understand them like you did. But the truth hits hard. You were the exception, not the rule. And what they mistook for being replaceable becomes a permanent ache they can't fill. Asterisk Part 6. The trap of chasing closure. Asterisk. If you've ever waited for them to come back, apologize, or suddenly get it, you're not alone. We all crave closure. But sometimes closure doesn't come in the form of words from them. It comes in the form of realization within us. They couldn't see my value because they hadn't yet found their own. People who are disconnected from their self-worth can't recognize the worth in others. People who haven't healed will treat love like a transaction. People who are emotionally unavailable will ghost genuine connection and then regret it. When it's gone, you don't need their apology. You don't need their regret. Chudopa? What you needs to return to yourself. Part 7. Rebuilding after being unseen. So how do you rebuild after being overlooked, unappreciated, or misunderstood? It starts with this truth. You are not too much. Your love is not a weakness. You simply gave it to someone who didn't have the capacity to hold it. Now, it's time to give that same love to yourself. Set boundaries without guilt, pour energy into people who pour back. Speak to yourself the way you spoke to them, gently, patiently, lovingly. Stop trying to prove your worth. You've always had it. You don't need to become cold or bitter. You just need to become wiser. Protect your softness, but don't erase it. Asterisk Part 8. A new kind of loved one. That starts with you. Asterisk. When you realize your love is a gift, not a burden, you start choosing differently. You no longer chase. You no longer beg for clarity. You no longer apologize for your emotional depth. Instead, you start attracting people who value presence over performance, who listen to understand, not just to reply, who don't run from intensity but honor it. You are never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong person. Conclusion. You were the lesson they'll never forget. Sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't anger, it's absence. It's the quiet, dignified withdrawal of your presence. It's the peace that follows when you no longer need them to see you, because you see yourself. And that's when they'll realize they didn't just lose someone who loved them. They lost someone who loved them honestly. But don't wait for their realization. Move forward, knowing that your love taught them something they may never find again. And that's okay. Because what you gave was real. Final message. You are not replaceable. 2. Those reading this who have loved deeply and been left behind, you are not weak. You are not naive. You are not foolish. You are rare. Your sincerity, your loyalty, your presence are gifts. And someone, someday, will not only recognize them, they'll protect them. Until then, protect yourself. Love yourself the way you loved them, because that's where your healing begins. Call to action. Support Awaken Mindset. This message resonated with you. It helped bring clarity to a pain you've been carrying in silence. You are not alone. Subscribe to Awaken Mindset, where we dive deep into emotional truths, inner strength, and the quiet power of healing. Your journey matters. Your story matters. And we're here to remind you you've always been enough. Follow, like, and share to keep the conversation going. Because the world needs more people like you, people who love deeply, even when it hurts.